Robert was an office manager for a short time, but the first thing he did was create chaos by cutting salaries for almost everyone except himself. Many employees immediately submitted resignation letters, while those who remained endured his tyranny due to lack of alternatives. The remaining staff had to bear double workloads and often stayed late. Even the cleaner, initially undervalued, quit because of Robert's mistreatment. Mrs. Thompson, the HR manager, asked Robert daily to raise the cleaner's salary, warning that no one would agree to work for such pay. Robert constantly complained about the dirt and dust in the office during morning meetings, which was strange since the branch operated normally before his arrival. Robert, frustrated by the janitor vacancy, warned Mrs. Thompson that if she didn't find a janitor soon, cleaning would be added to her job. Mrs. Thompson wished to leave this madhouse, but knew finding a new job at her age would be difficult. She endured Robert's unreasonable demands. Seeking solace, Mrs. Thompson took anti-anxiety pills in her office during yet another tense morning meeting with Robert. The manager lashed out again, questioning if finding a cleaner was truly so difficult for their successful company. Robert slowly approached the window and froze, his gaze fixed on something near the garbage cans outside. Outside, a poorly dressed woman was meticulously stacking cardboard boxes near the garbage cans. A sly smile spread across Robert's face as he turned to Mrs. Thompson, scoffing at the low pay deterring applicants. Robert flung open the window despite the warm weather and shouted, "Hey, come here a minute. I have an offer you might like." The woman ignored him, focused on her task, unfazed by Robert's offer. A flicker of excitement appeared in his eyes. "Hey, need some cash? Get over here," barked a woman. Still irritated, Robert turned to Mrs. Thompson and ordered her to fetch the security guard immediately. The security guard rushed into the conference room. Robert commanded, "Get that bum by the dumpsters over here right now." The woman was soon escorted inside the office. After several failed attempts at conversation, it became clear the woman was completely deaf. Her hearing aid looked old or poorly made, barely functional. Despite her disheveled appearance, the woman was surprisingly neat. Her hands, clothes, and hair were clean. She wore no makeup, her face young and gentle. Her threadbare clothes hung loosely on her frame but were odor-free. Robert remembered deaf people often read lips, so he spoke slowly and deliberately. "Do you understand what I'm saying?" Robert asked. The woman nodded. "Do you want a job?" "Nothing difficult, just cleaning the office," he finished. The woman stood silently for a moment, taking in her surroundings. Then she nodded, a flicker of hope appearing in her eyes. Robert swelled with a sense of victory. He turned to Mrs. Thompson, who had been quietly observing. "Can't find a cleaning lady? Maybe you forgot how to hire. Here's your lesson," he said. "This worthless piece of—" He trailed off. Mrs. Thompson's glare was a clear warning. Even a homeless woman would not accept the small amount he considered offering. He wisely dropped the thought. Hannah, the new deaf cleaning woman, was the picture of punctuality, often arriving well before the workday's start. Her commitment shone through. She washed, cleaned, and wiped with unwavering diligence. Within just a week, the office was unrecognizable. Unfortunately, Hannah's efforts could not transform her colleagues' cruel hearts. They mocked her relentlessly, confident she could not hear their taunts. Her old hearing aid offered little protection from the hurtful whispers. Yet Hannah, hardened by life's challenges, maintained her composure. Her escape was the ramshackle home she shared with her menagerie of rescues. 3 kittens, a cat, 2 dogs, and a parrot with a broken wing. These creatures were her world, the reason she endured the workplace scorn. Their love was her solace, a balm against daily stings. Even if bread and water were all she could afford, her furry companions always feasted. Their grateful eyes were her only payment for toil. Mrs. Thompson could not have been more pleased with the sparkling office. But Robert, the manager, was never satisfied. Robert could not understand why Hannah's quiet determination and the wisdom in her eyes gradually earned the respect of her colleagues. Those who mocked her began to see the depth of her character. Despite the difficulties, Hannah possessed eloquence and insight. Her thoughtful comments revealed a sharp mind, hidden but not absent. Everyone around gradually realized this. The situation seemed a cruel mismatch to her true potential. Tension grew in the office, fueled by Robert's aggressive morning meetings, where he blamed everyone but himself for the company's decline. His bitterness poisoned the atmosphere, leading to constant layoffs, sometimes of several people at once. This created negativity and uncertainty among the remaining employees. Rumors circulated that Robert would soon be the only employee left. CEO Harris began visiting more frequently, likely due to the branch's sharp profit decline. Robert used Harris's visits to intimidate the staff, forcing them to maintain the appearance of success despite his sinister plans. Harris, the company's founder, was determined to save it. After several visits to the once thriving branch, he sensed hidden unease among the employees. After another office visit, Harris announced a mandatory cleaning day with paid time off for all employees, including Robert. During the staff's absence, he installed hidden cameras. The cameras were connected to Harris's computer. He wanted to reveal the truth and save the business to which he had devoted much effort. Harris carefully monitored the office every day. He collected evidence to understand the reasons for the company's decline. During one of the meetings, Harris was struck by the well-thought-out business development plan presented by Robert. Harris carefully studied the materials, then looked up at Robert, surprised. Robert humbly replied that he had worked very hard, stayed up several nights, and hoped the plan would be liked. The first thing that seemed strange to Harris was the neat, feminine handwriting. He had read many of Robert's reports and knew his careless writing style well. Subsequent investigations provided more clues. Robert's mind was as confused and unstable as his handwriting. Harris was looking for a connection between them. After reviewing the camera footage, Harris was shocked. The cleaner spent a lot of time working on papers late at night. She was completely focused and immersed in the task. She didn't even keep track of the time. She created graphs and diagrams effortlessly, as if she had been doing it for years. Harris was upset that he had overlooked so many important things at his branch. The next morning, Robert was summoned to Harris's office. Robert rushed in, but stopped suddenly when he saw Harris's stern expression. He stood silently, looking down at the ground as Harris began to scold him. "Do you realize your deceit nearly destroyed this branch?" Harris demanded. "I have lost many exceptional employees because of your arrogance. You fired the best people I painstakingly handpicked, Harris said with frustration and disappointment. Robert stammered, trying to explain himself. Harris, let me explain, Robert began, but Harris cut him off sharply. I don't need your explanations, Harris said coldly. At first I thought you were trying an unusual technique, but when you stole credit for another person's work, you crossed the line, Harris said, taking a deep breath to compose himself. You have 10 minutes to clear your desk and leave, Harris ordered. The once confident manager's face drained of color. The man shuffled towards the exit, deflated and silent. Harris then turned to someone else in the room. The secretary brought in the cleaning lady. Please, Hannah, isn't it? As the young deaf woman named Hannah entered, Harris gestured for her to sit down. Please have a seat, Harris said kindly. I'd like to know more about you. Clearly, you are intelligent, with potential that life hasn't treated fairly. Hannah, slightly bewildered, nodded in agreement. Harris noticed that despite her disability, she was far from simple-minded and seemed thoughtful as she looked out the window. Her soft voice began telling her story. Hannah's childhood had been one of stark poverty. Even as her parents succumbed to drink and nightly fights, her passion for learning burned bright. By the 3rd grade, Hannah found an abandoned house near her apartment, a sanctuary for study. On chaotic nights, she would sneak home at dawn to grab her backpack while her family slept. Against all odds, Hannah excelled at school. There was no question about her acceptance to business school. Smart, determined, and well-liked, she grasped concepts quickly. Hannah graduated at the top of her class. Business administration was her passion, her lifelong dream. In the university's east hallway, she met Tyler for the first time. Tyler's wealthy family could not accept Hannah, a bright but penniless girl, as a suitable match for him despite their instant love and connection. Their love was a beacon against hardship, and Tyler, unable to imagine life without Hannah, proposed to her with great joy and hope for the future. One day, full of excitement about their upcoming wedding, they set off to visit friends in the country, unaware of the danger ahead. Suddenly, a thick white fog descended, blurring the world around them, making the road nearly invisible, and creating a dangerous situation. Headlights appeared too late, followed by the screech of brakes and the shattering impact of a terrible crash that changed everything. Hannah woke in an ambulance. Her first frantic question was for Tyler. But the news hit her like a physical blow, and she fainted. When she awoke in the hospital, a terrible realization came over her. Something was irrevocably changed. She was now deaf. The doctors were baffled and blamed stress. Heartbroken, Hannah begged to attend Tyler's funeral and visit his grave, but was cruelly denied. Tyler's parents, consumed by grief and rage, turned their anger toward Hannah, blaming her and her poor friends for the tragedy. Tyler's mother, with a voice like acid, vowed Hannah would regret ruining her son and claimed cleaning floors was all she deserved. All Hannah could regret was that she lived while Tyler did not, feeling unneeded, unwanted, and utterly alone. Mother was always chasing after the bottle, and her companions brought even more troubles. Their house burned down to the ground, leaving them without work, without shelter, and without love. Now she was deaf. Finding a job became impossible. No one wanted to hire a fragile beggar. Lip reading became her salvation. The small income from cleaning the market allowed her to buy a cheap hearing aid. It didn't restore all hearing, but a few words cut through the silence. Since then, it was just existence. A shabby shelter and the company of homeless animals became her family. Complaints were a luxury she had long lost. In a life full of injustice, she learned a strange kind of satisfaction. Her heart ached for the suffering animals in the abandoned house. Despite her own problems, caring for them was her constant worry. Harris listened attentively, his silence expressing sympathy. When she finished, the memory of Tyler and his tragic accident resonated within him. He knew the boy's wealthy parents and their loss. That same day, seeing Hannah's intelligence and business acumen, he offered her the position of branch executive director. Her agreement filled Harris with satisfaction. Under her leadership, the branch thrived, and Harris often visited Hannah, sometimes picking her up from work. Their bond grew stronger, and soon colleagues learned about their relationship and upcoming wedding. One afternoon after lunch, Harris stopped by Hannah's office. He knocked on the door and saw her immersed in work, as usual. "Honey, take a break. I brought something for you," he said, showing a certificate of ownership for an animal shelter. This shelter had become home to her beloved pets, who now received care and safety. Hannah now had a husband, a new home, and soon a son would be born. News that filled Harris with joy. Another miracle happened. Hannah's hearing returned, clear and sharp, as if it had never been lost. The spacious house of the businessman, once cold and empty, was now filled with warmth, life, and love. Hannah never forgot the cruelty she endured and the kindness that supported her. This memory inspired her to create a shelter for homeless animals to give them hope and care. She became the reliable refuge she once dreamed of. And with Harris by her side, their new family became a symbol of generosity and kindness. Perhaps it was the greatest miracle. From the ashes of pain arose a legacy of warmth and compassion that continued to live and inspire.